Morning, everyone. This video is going to be about the capital city meltdown that I'm going to shortly. I have the schemes. Travis released them early, which I like. I like a bit of both. I like them early because I really think there are some scheme pools where the more you think about it or practice it, uh, just new ideas come up, and you think of new ways to play it. And the reason I like it sometimes and not all the time is one because it gets kind of boring to just always see them beforehand and have no like on the fly thinking. Uh, I think on the fly thinking really makes you. It's another skill level, right? And I always say there's a lot of places for new people to go wrong, and I think building crews, obviously, on a limited amount of time, seeing a scheme pool is one of those places. On the other hand, if you never get a scheme pool ahead of time, it's really kind of hard to practice that tweaking out and making a good list unless you somehow said, all right, this is the scheme pool I'm going to play for the next 3 games against random people, and I'm going to try to make the best list I can for it. Like, you could do it on your own, but I prefer when there's more like weight behind it, because when there's a tournament, there's more reason to practice a specific scheme pool, because at least it's going to end up doing something for you in the end, right? So he gave us a scheme pool. I know Travis is very, what's the word? He puts a lot of effort into his scheme pools. They're not just random. He definitely makes it so to create tactical games. Because he has such a hatred for Hamlin and Sommer and Gremlins. He does tend to make sure there's no like auto win pools for Hamlin. Like there's no like tail him, mark for death, super pool, something like that. Uh, so yeah, I mean that's I mean things like I know he hates Raptors, so like, he'll have like a reconnoiter instead of interference because then Raptors aren't as good. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean it's hard to target like these. He's not just targeting these specific masters. It's just a whole general where it's like you look at it and you say that's going to be a pretty good game for everybody, and it's different. It makes you think because you can craft pools that are really awful, and I've seen people do that where they just craft these like stupid pools, and it's fun once in a while. But I don't think every tournament should be this. Like I trust him with pools because he is an experienced, high end tournament player. Um, Other people can just random it, and I think side tangent. If I was going to make a tournament, well, I would tweak them. I would do like a bit of both, like random, and then modify them slightly so that there's not like a leave your mark in every single pool if you happen to just flip that every single time. I don't like when people. I wish people would just randomize into like editing. There used to be ones where there would be one of the same scheme, numbered schemes in like 2 or 3 of those pools, and I'm just like, come on, change it up a little. That's beside the point right now. So, this video is going to be kind of like my prep talk. You guys have seen me do this before, where I show you the scheme pool. I talk about what I think I'm gonna do, what are my ideas, and I know, as I did when I went over the ITC and I went over scheme pools and what like we were thinking with that. I think this is a good exercise, one to listen to me and kind of like see where I'm going with this. But even at the same time, one thing, if obviously most of you who listen to me are Gremlin players. I know you guys play different masters than me, but a lot of us play the big three, as I like to call them. So, one thing that'd be interesting if you guys want to practice is I'm going to show you the scheme pool. Pause the video. Think about, you don't take an hour, but think for a couple minutes. What do you think I'm going to want to play? Or what do you think is good? Now, I know if you don't play the same masters and style, then you're going to have different opinions than me. But it's still a good exercise, before I even listen. See if some of the same ideas come out. See if something I said, oh, I take this for this reason, and you did the same thing. Hey, that's something cool. And maybe you'll think of things I don't, and that'd be great too. So here's the first pool. Round 1 is close, headhunter, claim jump, frame for murder, leave your mark, set up, mark for death. All right, automatically, big thing I see is close. I personally don't like close deployment. a lot of it's because I play Summer, and I feel like I like that first turn to kind of set up at that range, and I feel like I can be Alpha Strike a little more. Headhunter is usually my Summer list, is my go-to, though I think every Gremlin Master can do it pretty well. Of the big three, obviously, the ones I take. So close, I think, opens up the door, while Summer is still fine and close, because, 12-inch guns with a lot of damage. He can still put out the damage in close. One thing is, Headhunter doesn't... There's no reason in Headhunter to, go for the middle. So kind of going back before, where this scheme pool kind of forces you to go to the middle in a sense, right? But it's not the same as like a Squatter's Rights type, where you will lose. You won't lose. You will lose the game if you don't go to the middle. So you can deploy a little farther back in this. It will make it a little harder because two of the schemes involve getting to the other side of the board, or to the middle, claim jump, and leave your mark. But it's not as imperative as like Squatters, where since the other team starts so close as do you, if you play back to avoid being so close, the other crew can walk up, pop the Squatters, and now when they attack you, they're attacking you in your lines, and it's going to be hard for you to get behind them to get the Squatters effectively. But this is not the case now. It's close Headhunter. So I've talked about before, I tend to play KGer games with Headhunter. I tend to say, all right, I'm going to do some schemes. Maybe a head or two will drop, assuming they're going to play KG as well, and then we go from there. I do think close Headhunter gives you more of an option to go like balls deep and be like, all right, instead of KG, blah, 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 I'm just going to kill everything and pick up heads, right? And more of a, this is going to be a head game as opposed, like a multiple head game as opposed to maybe one or two per side. So that's what automatically I'm thinking of, right? So frame for murder. So claims and choice in the pool. It's always an option. It's definitely always an option in Headhunter. It's a passive play. You can get points without having to kill people, and they kind of have to come to you to stop points. So it's I haven't decided if I'm going to do it yet, but we'll see. Frame for murder. All right, frame for murder. It sounds better than it is, in my opinion. It depends on the enemy master, but if the person's smart, you're probably only going to get 2 points for it, right? But then you're trading a head for it, most likely. Because most likely they're dying close to the enemy and they're going to get the head. So you're really only getting 1 point out of it, right? So if they end up taking schemes that can get them, more points, like if they take leave your mark, claim jump, get the 6, you're already behind the game because you've basically traded. Now, yeah, if it's a big bash in the middle and there's heads everywhere, then it might not be one of those games where it's like you're giving them a point and you're not getting a head in return. Or they would already going to get the point anyway because there's a head laying there. That's the kind of the thing there. But it still doesn't sit well with me because of that very reason of, hey, I don't want to give them a head for free and risk not getting points, if they do play cagey or play defensive. If they can identify your frame target, it becomes an issue. And then, it leads to the whole thing of what I've always said is, if you frame something too small, in this case, they might just not kill it or kill it and get the head and they'll be fine. Or if you frame something too big that they have to kill, again, they'll just kill it, get the head, and then you'll be down some Gremlin's not as big a deal, some big amount of soul stones that you don't want to be down. Like, I don't want my Bert to die turn 1. I just don't. Whether or not I get the 2 or 3 points or not, because I do think the rest of the pool is doable in this kind of round. So leave your mark. It's always not too bad for Gremlins. Maris, any model, any reckless model, Wong. So I guess I'll go back. I'll finish the schemes and I'll go back. So leave your mark is definitely doable, and it's one of those you could play without actually doing the Headhunter game. Setup. It's better and close. It's doable. Mark for death. Again, it's a risk for me because if somebody plays KG, you will get 1 point, if not 0, right? Because the enemy's already going to be kind of defensive in a way because of Headhunter, and they're not going to want to give away heads. And then on top of that, you have to get up there, interact, and have them killed. That means you're probably getting in close and possibly giving them heads in return. Like, I'm not saying you'd never take Mark for Death. I'm saying I'm not going to probably take Mark for Death. So what jumps out to me is leave your mark and claim jump, right? Those are the two you can do without involving your enemy your enemy. Now, I've talked about the whole non-engagement game, and I think you can play it. I think you should automatically assume the game is going to be semi-non-engagement in Headhunter. Whether it turns into an engagement or not, that's fine. That's not the problem. The problem is you have to assume. So let's think of a good example this way, right? Gremlins are a good example because they're so fast. Let's say you have to deploy first, as the enemy does, right? And you're against me, and I have this crew of just like, let's say Wong, whatever. Wong, Swan Curse, bunch of glowy, reckless shit. Shit that seems like it's gonna go right at you, right? You see my crew, you're like, this is a fighty crew. I'm taking Frame for Murder, and I'm taking, I don't know, Mark for Death or some shit. Who cares? But you take Frame, right? And you set up, and you're like, I'm a little scared. Maybe you tend to one side a little, right? And I just go, I'm going to deploy my whole crew on the other side. Just everybody, right? Everybody's on the other side. And now, I'm going to run up, because I'm already close, run up and start dropping markers and scoring, claim jump, and leave your mark easily. Now, you're on the other side. You're slow. Most factions are a lot slower than ground. First off, snipers don't work, because if you kill one of my shit, I'm going to get the head for it. So that's not going to do you any good. And two, most factions are a lot slower than gremlins are. So getting over there is not going to be easy. Maybe you have lures, but you can play around it as a gremlin player. The point being is, if you've taken Mark for Death or Setup or Frame, you lose. You lose. You lose the game most of the time if that happens. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. If you spread out your crew, right? One thing I've done wrong in Headhunter and seen people do wrong is they spread out their crew too. If you are like, especially if the other crew's fast, right? Because in the same example, if the enemy deploys first, and they kind of spread out a little bit, maybe they have a scheme runner on the right trying to do leave your mark. What if I just deploy in front of that scheme runner, right? And I just go at the scheme runner. So now you automatically have a scheme runner dead. But I also get that one head, right? And if I get that head, then that means as long as I get my schemes, even if you did happen to take leave your mark and claim jump, and we're able to get across and do it, I would win by one, right? At the same time, you could take a crew like Zip. I think Zip is another solid option. You take things like Maris and maybe the first mate, maybe even Fingers, just because there's, you can't mark for death around Fingers, you can't set up around Fingers, you can't leave your mark, you can't claim jump. He can easily stop all that. And you can't pick up heads. Like, he might be just a great option in this pool. But what do you do when, even if, let's say, the Zip player deploys first, right? And he deploys, like, pretty center in a ball. And then you deploy, you're like, oh, I'll go kind of across, whatever. And he just, like, runs to one side. Like, laterally moves to the right. It's things like that I worry about. Or I think about, especially if the terrain's good, right? If there's like a giant building on your side and you're not going to like deploy behind it, when if Zip just runs behind there, drops Earl, he's going to do leave your mark. He's like you can't get there to stop him. There's your points gone. He's a 3-point model doing the schemes. He's doing claim jump on the line with other models. And if you even come close, Zip is going to run out, throw you back into the lines, drop a head, and then he win the game, right? And Zip himself, I think, another reason I think Zip is really good in this pool is Zip is hard to kill. That's first off. Zip is not easy to kill, especially if you give him Dirty Cheater and you have enough. And I would probably take a couple extra stones in this pool just if I was going to play this strategy the way I'm talking about. What I would do is I would also take some stuffed piglets. Why? Activation control, obviously, but stuffed piglets don't give up any of these schemes, right? They don't give heads. They don't do anything like that. So what you do is you can basically annoy people with them while you're off one. If it does come down to like, I'm going to do claim jump, you're going to do claim jump, I'm going to leave your mark, you're going to leave your mark, Zip is a annoying as shit master to kill, but he can stop a lot of schemes himself. Like he can land next to your claim jump markers, he can land next to you, leave your mark. He can't pick them up, but he can land next to him and annoy the scheme runners who are trying to do it. Maybe he can't get ahead unless he brings Earl with him. So maybe that's a risk of killing the scheme runners. Maybe he just annoys them enough to stop you from doing it. But then you also have stuffed piglets who maybe in a turn they run up and stop a claim jump. They can't stop leave your mark, but that's fine. But that's assuming, the enemy against me goes, leave your mark, claim jump is the play, right? But I think that's really hard to anticipate. I don't think people, and maybe they'll listen to my video and then I'll be like, oh, fuck, well, you just thought, you saw my strategy. If they do that, whatever. Playing on hard mode, right? I feel like it's very tough to pick claim jump and leave your mark in this pool, in a pool with already 1,000,000 AP, where you against enemy crew that you think might come at you and fight you, right? Because Zip's crew, I think if you build it right, can also play the fighting game, right? Because if you send something at him, the thing is, the risk there is, what if he just goes and picks up one of your models and throws it back at him, right? What if he just throws it right back to his lines? What do? They get ahead, and they're up again. Like, the fact the displacement possibilities with like almost a first mate or like in a zip or just zip and like maybe like a Trixie or something, the things you can do to like mess with people, the walls you can make. I mean, Zip could just wall off people, right? Zip could just wall you off and say you're not getting points right now, you're not getting out of this bubble or something like that. I think that is the potential. So the more I think about it, I think you go one of two ways. You go the Wong list where you're just like, I am super beat face. If you come at me, I will probably kill you. But I also have the possibility of just running schemes, just going to one side, boop, run the schemes. Or you go the zip list where you have the same possibility of running schemes to one side. Or, playing the game of more of a cagey annoyance. Here's a head. A lot of it depends, I think, on the enemy crew. Yeah, a lot of it depends on enemy crew. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting. Lures are always a problem in Headhunter because a little less so in close, because while it's nice to lure people, if you take like a gremlin crew that's like super aggro and you lure them in, like they might just come in and kill you. Like they just might just go balls deep and like kill all your models. Like that's I think both crews can do it. I think it'll depend on who I'm against, because I kind of have an idea what master people will play. Yeah, I think both can do it really well. They both have their ups and downs, but I think you got to take claim jump and leave your mark as the gremlin player. I think it's your best option. Setup is definitely possible. I will say setup, you put down 2 markers and Zip can like throw the model into it, and then you can get a third one, I'm sure. Wong can do it okay. I don't think you do frame for murder. I think it's a trade, and I don't think it's a good trade. So I think you're going to give him a head, and it's not good. Mark for death. Gremlins aren't that good at it. They have to get the charge off to be really good, and I think it's too risky if the enemy plays defensively with like claim jump leave mark. But I can definitely see myself playing like a very fast crew. I mean, think about it. You're all reckless. If I deploy in the middle and want to run to a side, I have like 15 inches to move laterally with all my models. You're on like slow ass models. What do? And you can't, like I said, you can't shoot me because you're gonna drop a head, most likely where I can get it. And then what do? You can't compete with that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's my initial thought. I think it's going to have to be the terrain's going to be a big deal. I think you're going to want one side where the enemy's like kind of half the board has a piece of terrain you can kind of lock down behind and play around. So I think that's what I'm going to go for. It's a different kind of headhunter pool with close. I like it. All right, so let's look at round 2. All right, so round 2. Standard, stake a claim jump, eliminate the leadership, dig their graves, hunting party, last stand. So I tend to like Pigapults with Summer in this type of list. I actually like it in Standard a lot more. A lot of people think corner deployment is one of the best for Pigapults because of how far the reach is. And while I agree it's good because corner is obviously very hard for other people because it's a lot farther to get across the line, especially at the flanks. But at the same time, I think if you're smart against a Pigapult, um, there's only so many places you can really throw bayous to effectively get good stake of claim markers turn 2. That way maybe you could counter it if you had like an idea of where they would go. So I like Standard because you're only, what is it, 24 inches away from their deployment, but more so, you're only 12 inches from the center line. You have a lot of room to throw bayous and still put really good stake of claim markers turn 2. To offset, that you can see here, there's Hunting Party, which I'm pretty sure was deliberate because it in turn helps people against throwing bayous, because at least you can kind of score some points in Hunting Party. So while you're actually stopping me from stake of claim, you're inadvertently getting points as well. And if you feel like doing dig their graves, it's a possibility. If you think you know where I'm going to land, drop a ski marker, kill me. You can't score both, actually. Never mind, that's probably dumb, because you can't score Hunting Party and dig their graves off the same model. So that probably won't happen. Last Stand, it's whatever. I mean, it's probably not bad if you're against me with a Pigapult. I'm trying to think. You have to be outside your deployment zone, and you have to survive with 3 and 4. I guess if you decided to go like in 4, I think the problem here is, right, this comes back down to a strat that is not mutually scoreable. It's one or the other. So if I say I'm just gonna commit. I'm gonna do my normal strategy with Pigapult, and I'm just going to beat you on stake of claim. I'm getting 4, you're getting 0, right? Well, that means you max out at 6. No matter if you do Last Stand and Hunting Party and you kill, you stay alive and you kill all my little bayous, who are probably in your deployment zone, so you might not be able to go back there and kill them with the enforcers because of Last Stand. So that kind of creates a little fun on its own, where they kind of directly contradict each other, given the way how I could throw the bayous, all the way across the board. Well, I can get them to your deployment zone, and I could run them in, I guess. So, but anyway, point being is you don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time, if you're trying to kill the bayous that I'm throwing, that's models that aren't doing stake of claim, and I still have other models of stake of claim because I'm only throwing 3 summon guys. I have another 13 models in my crew, including Sommer and whatnot. So that one I think is, well, I think Hunting Party jumped out to me and be like, oh, I shouldn't do this. I should run like Zip or Wong. Definitely. And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I think Commerce can still do it just fine. I mean, really, like, the effort you have to put in to kill the minion, like if they get the 3 points, they get the 3 points. Like, who cares, right? If you focus on, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get stake of claim. That is my one goal, get stake of claim. I only need to do one other thing for 3 points to win the game, right? Claim jump. If you tell me how a model is going to stop my claim jump, stop my stake of claim, score Hunting Party, and do whatever their other scheme is. Like, it's not easy. Like, it's really not easy, especially with how many models I'm going to have. So, to do stake a claim jump or Last Stand, you need to pretty much have a low model count. Like, if someone went Last Stand, Hunting Party, but you can only score Hunting Party once a turn. So it's one of those, do you just kill all my bayous in the back in one turn and then hope to kill my other ones? Like there's things I can do to like prevent you from killing that. Or another option I could do is, and I don't know how I feel about this option, but let's just say in my normal list I take like a Maris and a Bert Jepson, right? Well, depending on how you move and deploy, one of my Bert, I just keep him near the Pigapole, and then it comes time to throw bayous, and I'm like, hell, I'm just going to throw Maris, Bert, and a bayou. Right? So now there's only one hunting party option behind you. Bert's back there, who can drop stake a claim and do just fine in the back. Like, he can also contest most models that come and like try to stop him, right? So you can't if you and you won't know who I'm gonna throw till probably you've activated most of your models, especially if you're trying to do last stand, because there's a point where, or what if you're trying to do last stand and I need to deny? All I gotta do is deny a point to win because I'm gonna get the 4 stake or something, and I just blow off, like I just kill a bunch of my own gremlins, and then we go equal models, and you don't get it. Or you get one hunting party. I know you now have it. I blow off most of my models, and then the only thing left is 3 stuffed piglets behind a building. So now not only are you getting not last stand, assuming you took it, but you're also not getting hunting party because my only thing left is my ammo, and then I already got stake of claim. So you're not getting. I mean, it's a play-by-play situation where I can pivot on what I want to do. Now, what do I see myself doing in my head? I'm obviously going to do claim jump because it's very good for my crew because I'm going to have tons of models, so many activations, and I'll just wait it out and, stay on the line. So while I'm in the back dropping stake of claim, I'll be on one side basically fighting off the rest. Because the idea being, if I get stake of claim, it's almost impossible to lose. So they have to, the amount of AP involved in stopping me is very hard. It's not easy. It can be done. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, like, if you took out a hunting party and put in whatever else, right? I would definitely take the Pigapole. Like, I think it would be very good. So why would that? I don't think the inclusion of hunting party like deters me from doing that at all, because I'm still going to be very good at it. Now. Things I do, I take like 2 skeeters. Why is 2 skeeters good? One, doesn't count for dig their graves, which it counts for hunting party. So they're going to take hunting party versus me. They have to. I mean, I feel like they have to. I'm going to have like 10 minions. That involves taking forcers. Like, if you know what I'm going to take, I would say, I could be giving something away. A good list would be very like enforcer henchman heavy. See the problem, and you know what you come up with the problem of you go enforcer henchman heavy, saying, listen, I'm going fucking like 7 models, right? I'm going 7 models. Enforcer henchman, I'm going for last stand and hunting party. 1, you won't have as much AP to drop the stake of claims. 2, what if I take hunting party, kill your 1 minion, depending on who it is, right? And then I get 3 free points for nothing. And it's not even that bad. I mean, what's the risk, right? What's the risk? If I take claim jump and hunting party, and I try to go after your 1 model you have, and the thing is, like, a Burt Jepson throne 24 inches can get to a lot of places. And a peon's not going to beat off Burt, and I can hunt him down in 2 turns. And then if I kill him by turn 3, if it's your only model, if Burt has hunted him down, I get 3 points for doing nothing unless you're a summoner, right? So that's an option. That's always an option. But if you're not stopping the bayous in the back with enforcers, you got to hope to kill my other ones. Like, it's not easy, was what I'm trying to say. There's some nuance to like trying to stop me. But at the same time, as I keep saying, you can focus so much on last stand and hunting party, but if you do not win stake of claim against me, and I will be dropping a lot of stake of claims, and I will probably just beat you in it anyway. All I gotta do is get 3 claim jump, and it's over. Like, it's over. Maybe I take eliminate the leadership, depending on your master, right? Pigapole, one thing that's nice is, in this time of deployment, is it has very big threat range. Why do I like the Pigapole and stake of claim? Obviously, there's 2 reasons. One is launching bayous turn 1 to get stake of claim, but people don't realize that obviously the shooting is good, but because people usually take a lot of like little shit to like get stake of claim, a Pigapole has such a threat range, and since they have to come across the board, you pretty much threat range your entire half the board. And then if you have high cards, since you probably are doing mostly AP stuff, you just say, all right, I got a couple 13s, Piglet, kill that stake of claim person. All right, if they only have 2 stake of claim people, I tend to face, like, let's say, not lower monks, the wandering ones, the one that leaps, right? Pigapole 2 shots it. It's defense 5. I only need a couple high cards, easy to kill it. But if you only were if your hope was like 2 leaping stake of claim guys and I kill one, what are you going to do after that? Like, you just don't have enough models or AP to do it. So it's a conundrum. it's a conundrum. Once people get behind you, you have to make a decision on how you're going to win the game. And I think a lot of people, one, because I have so many activations turn one, I can throw them wherever I want because you really can't be everywhere at once. So I can make a smart decision to counter whatever it is you try. Two, a lot of people kind of go halfway in between both and it fails because they don't do one. Probably your best bet in this, I feel like, and I'm not guaranteed, is to try and like deny more of my stake of claims. They'd try to. One, you can't really compete with me doing it. I don't think. I still don't think it's going to work. I think the models you need to do it might be too much. I don't know. I'm definitely beatable. I'm not trying to say that, but it's just a harder game than people realize. And just because Hunting Party is in there doesn't mean I can't use my bayous and stuff. I think that's like a deterrent that's not really a deterrent. So yeah, I think depending on terrain and everything, a pick-a-pole list might be the best. Zip would do it just fine. Let's talk about the other masters because I've been wanting to play a lot more Zip and Wong recently. Let's see, Wong. So they're all good at eliminate the leadership or like against it, because of like Dirty Cheater and stuff. Dig their graves, whatever. Don't think it's gonna be too. That's a lot of AP. The thing is, like, I feel like looking at the scheme pool, it's gonna. I just want to focus on being the one who wins stake. Win stake, do claim jump, win the game. And while things like Schwein Curse and Burts and Skeeters and stuff can help really get stake of claim going, and even Zip when you have Earl on his back makes it easy. I don't think anything compares to the sheer number of models Sommer brings, because you're gonna want a lot of like stuffed piglets to be annoying, but they kind of give up Hunting Party. They like give up Hunting Party without really giving you a benefit, right? And like I don't think you get the same benefit out of your minions without the pick-a-pole as you would otherwise. Yeah, because even Sommer, if the enemy goes for claim jump and like something else, you can sack a Skeeter to try to stop the markers and stuff like that for a turn or two, or launch a piglet. So if you just accept Hunting Party is going to happen, it's almost one of those things. If you accept Hunting Party is going to happen, just have so many minions that it's even though they're getting a point for killing one, you're still doing what you need to do. Then it probably won't matter. All right, so that's round two. I think it's going to be a typical, nothing crazy, but I mean obviously, I do find the stake of claim pick-a-pole games to be more tactical than people give credit for. Like even on my part, like you really got to think about what you're going to do and plan ahead, especially with deployment. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, round three. Let's see what we got. We have standard reconnoiter, claim jump, dig the graves, accusation, show of force, quick murder. All right. So this is a cool pool. I think this is maybe one of the harder ones, but maybe not. So reconnoiter over interference. I remember when interference came out, everybody was like, even Travis and stuff was all about it, right? They were like, man, I can lock up these people with a lot of models, and then they don't count for it, and blah, 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 and it was a thing, but then people got even more models and even more spread out, and it actually became an issue because it would be things like stuffed piglets, skeeters, raptors, just little shit just tying you up, and you're like, oh, I don't count because this thing dropped down at the end of the turn. Definitely think raptors more of a problem than skeeters. The skeeters at least have to like fly there and be semi in range. Raptors is just like, oh, end of the turn. Let me see if there's a situation that I could screw you on by engaging a bunch of models. So I definitely know he did reconnoiter instead of interference to stop raptor bullshit. And I mean, stop skeeters doing it too. So I can't say that it didn't hurt my list a little bit. Standard makes it not easy, but it's easier, I guess. I tend to stay to one side. So Sommer's the obvious one. I mean, despite my wanting to play the other masters, Sommer's more of the obvious one here. Though I do think you could do I think if you commit to a Wong list, you pretty much it's so hard. So let's go through and think about what we would do. So claim jump is probably going to be obvious. I almost always do it, and I think it's good in this pool. The way you play Reconnoiter. Accusation is, I don't think that's going to happen. Show of force, quick murder. So my quick murder in this pool would it be, it'd be Bert, I think. My normal list would be, yeah, it'd be, no, I'd have another model. Who do I take in Reconnoiter? I took Trixie. Trixie would be my quick murder in this. That's not a bad quick murder for me. It's actually a pretty good one. Push people away, keep her alive with other gremlins, makes it annoying. Alright. Unless somebody, alpha strikes me, which can happen. But, alright, so she's a pretty solid quick murder. Show of force. I mean, that's always an interesting one that when you do it into Reconnoiter because you don't count being in the middle. So, what models can you sacrifice to the middle to get your show of force, but still win the Reconnoiter points and get the points you need? So my school of thought on that is I'd probably have 1 or 2 upgrades only, like 2 dirty cheaters and stuff. So I'm trying to think to myself, if I only have 1 or 2 dirty cheaters, can I really contest the middle as well as I need to? Probably not. But what do I take? And what's their quick murder? I guess so. It's gonna. It's a hard pool. It's definitely not an easy one. Dig their graves is not bad. I mean, this one's gonna be hard for me to tell you what I want to do, because what I would do is, because things like quick murder is it's all dependent on the enemy crew. Like I can quick murder a lot of things with Sommer and Bert and maybe even take a Frank or something, right? Because when if you take Frank over Maris in this? Because there's this interesting thing, and this is semi-tangent, but I take Maris all the time. All the time. But there's a part of me that's she flies, which is obviously useful, but the only thing she does, and her attack it's 3 flaming, but it's not the greatest attack, and she's not that hard to kill if you put her in there. So that's the problem. Is she's a reckless move 5 model. Well, so is Frank. The only thing she has over Frank is she puts a scheme marker down for a 0, and she flies, and she stops blasts. But it depends on who you're against, right? The blasting doesn't come up. It's more of an insurance at that point. So there's a part of me that says, why not just take Frank over her and drop a Skeeter, since it doesn't matter in this, and just have a guy that kills better, right? That's a thought. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to depend a lot on who I'm against and what I think they're going to play. Because there's arguments for, there's arguments for Wong lists that just run a bunch of shit and something. So my Wong list had 4 stuffed piglets. I don't want to take just 1, but it doesn't feel right to take something where you take 2 swine curs for Bert. Well, maybe McTavish should actually be better in this. So a McTavish list where you can snipe little things. You play but how do you get dig? Quick murder would be McTavish. The other way, oh yeah, I can't have quick murder be a swine curse. That would suck. Yeah, so that's. You could take McTavish and not give him glowy. You could take a Skeeter and try to dive bomb their quick murder with a glowy Bert or a Frank. No, it doesn't feel right. It feels like you're just giving up. Thing is, I don't think you can win the Reconnoiter past that. It's great if it was something else, but winning the Reconnoiter past that seems difficult. Maybe I think just going Sommer and trying to get more models in the quarters and keeping your protection open. Seeing what they do for upgrades. If it's very obvious, see, the thing is, if they go for show force, you're going to have a pretty obvious thing. And if you take someone like Trixie and Bert and Sommer, and the middle is kind of open, depending on how open the middle is. I mean, a lot of it depends on if there's like a giant impassable thing where they can stick a 2 upgrade model behind it and just edge it, and so they don't count for Reconnoiter, but they get the Stow of Force, and it's not like that imperative of a model to the game. That sucks. Same thing on the other side. If you stick a glowy McTavish and just say, fuck it, I'm going to be within 6 of the center, I'm going to have 2 upgrades, I'm going to be ready to shoot, he's my quick murder, come get him, boys, because you're not getting Show of Force, because I'm going to protect the middle, you're not getting quick murder, because he's going to be there, you're not getting Accusation, and what else are you going to get? Maybe Dig Their Graves, and maybe Claim Jump. So, I think it's going to be really, really, terrain dependent and what I'm against. So I don't have a really great answer to what I'm going to play here. Zip is also an option. He's not exceptionally great. Oh, he's good at Show of Force because you can have like. Oh, no, see, the thing is, in this Show of Force, you need like 1 model with 2 upgrades in the middle because you can't waste all your models for Reconnoiter in the middle because of Show of Force. Like you need like a good henchman in the middle, just chilling, and that's why McTavish is so good at it because he's very hard to kill, in 1 round or anything, and he can chill there. And he's still useful because of the 14-inch ignore cover. He doesn't have like a great reason that he has to run out of there and like do other things. So that's my thought there. All right, we'll see. That might be the harder round. So the next round's gonna be pretty tough too. All right, guys. Round 4. We have Flank Reckoning, Claim Jump, Eliminate the Leadership, Frame for Murder, Recover Evidence, and Tail them. So, interesting pool. Reckoning I always find to be difficult for Gremlins, at least in my experience. A big part of it being I like to take a lot of activations, I like to take a lot of cheap activations, and I don't really care about losing things most of the time, and this is kind of counterproductive to that. Unlike Collect a Bounty, where things like Stuffed Piglets and whatnot, don't count, this is a whole another ballgame for Gremlins. So, whenever a Reckoning pool comes up, I feel like it does take a lot of thought on how to play it. So, a couple things come to mind. This is very similar to what happened at Nova, and I've spoke about it many times, where there was like Eliminate the Leadership, and there was, I think it was Quick Murder was in the pool, and it was GG 2016. There's like another killing one, like Hunting Party. And what ended up happening was most people played some bullshit like shooty, like far away list, and the problem is the enemy didn't take Convict Labor, and so if the enemy didn't take, everyone else was like, oh, I'm gonna take Hunting Party and Eliminate the Leadership because it's Reckoning and we gotta get in there, we gotta kill things, and then the enemy took Convict Labor and played like grab ass or played like very cagey, and the games ended like 3-0 or 4-1 because the other person was now had to commit into Reckoning, and the other person was set up to like defend and like just blast them off the board and basically give up Reckoning if they came into them. But then they were also scoring Convict Labor on the side. So I see this being a very similar thing, right? Because Recover Evidence, if you play like a bitch, won't matter, right? So think of this. Let's think of a list. So the thing that just jumps out to me right away is either Wong or Zip. I haven't decided which one. And then Pigapult with at least 5 to 6 Tough Piglets, all right? Now, you think Stuffed Piglets, oh no, you don't want to launch them. You don't want to launch the actual Piglet themselves because they give up Reckoning. But you keep them, for activations and to shoot the Pigapult. Because unlike Collect the Bounty, the Pigapult actually does count if you kill things with it in Reckoning. So it has some leeway there. Set activation control, obviously. Second thing is, it kind of can help versus Recover Evidence. Because now you have 7 models whose job is to sit in the back corner or sit somewhere and shoot and activate. Well, if they pop Recover Evidence, turn 3, Well, you're going to have 5 models sitting in one spot unless they're really close to your Pegapult and your whole plan is to protect the Pegapult. They can't ever get to you, right? Like, you're just going to put every evidence marker around your Pegapult in the hopes that if they get to the Pegapult, you're probably losing anyway at that point. At least that's my theory behind it. They're probably not going to take it in this, I would guess, especially since it's Reckoning. Eliminate the leadership. Pegapult is great for eliminate the leadership. Whether you are launching a model to go kill them or just threatening the leadership from 24 inches away, threatening shots on them every turn. Claim jump is I would say a must take in this fucking thing. Like, there's no way I don't think you cannot take the claim jump and expect to win, because you need to be able to do something when people are bitching around doing nothing else. Frame is an interesting one in Reckoning because, unlike Headhunter, one, it doesn't directly give you a point because you gotta kill 2 models. What does this mean? This sets up something on the other side that you can do as a Gremlin player. One thing that's potential is, let's say you take Frank, right? You take glowy fucking Frank, and you launch him at the end of your first turn, right? And he's the only model you launched. Now you have 2 things that can happen. One, he goes fucking ape shit and kills 2 models, which isn't crazy to think about if they're small enough. Or you took eliminated leadership and he charges their leader and wrecks them. He just does 5 min and, or at least brings them down to half, right? And well, this is kind of counterproductive because you can do 2 things. One, you can put eliminate the leadership and hopes that you launch Frank over there and kill their leader real quick. Or you just give Frank frame for murder, and now they have 2 options. They either kill him, right? They're going to kill Frank and give up 2 points for frame for murder, or they're going to let Frank in their back line kill their models, right? And that's not the best thing. Now, because the problem is he can't guarantee killing 2 models, so you might not get. So this is gonna depend on the enemy crew. I think you can bluff the frame on Frank. There's 2 things, right? Well, 2 things can happen. So it's in a world where you're setting up your crew in a way that it doesn't matter. And well, here's actually one where I think Sparks is actually a good pick because you just make the Pegapult fast and you're getting 4 shots a turn, and you don't really care about anything else, right? Because you're playing back. So the list I took at Nova that had a similar style to it was Wong, McTavish, Sparks, 6 Stuffed Piglets, and a Pegapult. And I believe I had something else. I had Frank, that's right, because I threw Frank turn 1 and was just like, all right, you can't score 2 Reckonings by killing 1 model. You can't score Reckoning points, so if I give up Frank, it's fine. If you leave him alive, I might kill 2 models. He wasn't glow either. And if you don't kill him, he might get a shot at your master and to at least get the half points, right? So that gives you a total of, and then you're worried about if they frame something that Frank kills. Yeah. Frame introduces a new element to this pool. I don't think Talem's going to be a thing. It depends. Like, a lot of this depends on what you see in the enemy, right? Because you could, I think, a list like a Wong Killy list, like a double Swine Curse, like Bert, Frank, Frank, and then maybe like Trixie list. See, the problem is then you're risking Talem. The thing about Talem is an interesting one because, I think you just gotta say fuck Talem, and that you just assume the enemy's not going to do it, and you play KG. Because if you throw Frank out there and they start tailing Frank and they don't kill him, you can kill enough models. You don't care. The problem is now Frank killing their frame for murder, and then you're like, oh fuck me, that's not good. Damn. All right, this is. I think this one's gonna be a big on what I think I'm gonna go against. Yeah, because you don't have to do the thing with Frank. You can just hold it back. The biggest fear here is killing something for reckoning points, giving up frame, and them having eliminate the claim jump as well, and them getting claim jump while you get nothing. So they basically would get 5 points and you would get 3. Or 4 because of reckoning, if you got it that turn. Because it's easy to say, I'm just going to beeline this model into the enemy crew. But it's another thing to say, if I beeline this model in the enemy crew, they have to need to kill it, right? There has to be a point where killing it is necessary, or else I think there's a trap in frame where people are going to take frame for murder. I think everyone's going to. I think a lot of people are going to take frame for murder, and I think it could come down to being smart enough to beat it, to play around it. Man, that's interesting. This is gonna be an interesting pool that I actually have no idea how it's gonna go. I think it's gonna depend greatly on what I'm up against. But I have an idea, and a lot involve like pick-a-pults, and like you play the cagey pick-a-pult game, or you play some weird like super all-in Skeeter into fast Frank glowy kill their master, but then they frame their master, and you're like, oh shit. But then you frame. I think you gotta take claim jump though, because I think it's gonna be easy, and especially in flank, to get it off and get the 6 points and get the 3 points you guaranteed from it, and then you can threaten the rest of it. Because if they don't take it, then they're screwed. It also helps with the pick-a-pole if you think about it. You could always, if they're trying to do it, you could launch a stuffed piglet at their thing and stop it for a turn, and they're only going to get 1 point for killing the reckoning pig. So if you make sure they don't kill 2 models. So I think there's play there. I think there's play with something like, I used McTavish when I did it because the way I was threatening it is you couldn't really come at me because I had a 14-inch shot with McTavish. I had a fast pick-a-pole, and I had Wong, and it was just, and Frank, and it was just a threat to even come near me. Maybe that's something I'll think about again. But yeah, that's the reckoning round. It'll be a hard one, but it's definitely winnable with smart play. All right, last round, guys. I know it's been taking a while to do this, but this is what it takes to get ready for tournaments if they do release it early. I want to be prepared. Round 5, corner squatters. Corner squatters is almost as bad for some crews as corner stake a claim. At least this is a little more fair. The big thing about squatters' rights is the 2 edge ones are a lot farther away than in normal deployment. Oh, there's recover evidence in both of these? Come on, Travis. Did you not even see that? That's some horse shit. Whatever. So dig their graves, accusation, search the runes, recover evidence. So automatically, something that pops out to me is the number of activation of scheme marker things and whatnot that are required to do this, right? Recover evidence is almost all, they're all like interact based. So when that happens, and 3 of them are what is it called? Scheme marker based. So what automatically screams to me is someone like Fingers is probably worth it in this round. Fingers just shuts down a lot of this stuff if he stays alive. Yeah, he makes everything super hard to do. The big thing is master, right? They all can do it. Corner, you're not actually that far from the middle. You can get there pretty quickly with like a Sommer crew. I don't think you need a pick-a-pult in this one. I think my typical Sommer crew would do just fine. The Maris, like Fingers, like the Headhunter pool, the one I took to ICC a lot. They're not going to accusation you. It's very likely they do search the runes and like a claim jump or dig their graves. Big reasoning being, if you're going to be in the middle already to contest the 3 squat markers, why not just stay there and drop markers as well? So activations, and a lot of things to put down markers becomes almost imperative here. I think something like Zip could also be really good. He makes obviously interacting a lot more difficult. Not the same as Fingers, who just shuts it down, but Zip is also a little more resilient and obnoxious just being there and throwing people away. He's also not too bad for Dig Their Graves because he can throw them backwards into the marker and kill them that way. It's, as much some of these, Travis did a good job of making fairly difficult rounds, which is nice because it just makes the game a lot more tactical. I can't just sit here for every round and be like, I'm easily going to play this crew. A lot of it will come down to terrain, one thing that can happen in squatters is there's a piece of terrain near the outside markers, and it's like a big impassable one, and it's like on one side of it, and you want to make sure you get the corner that's on the inside so that you can get to that marker and kind of defend yourself while they have to walk around the piece of terrain. So that's something that could be a big deal that could influence which model I take or what crew. I feel like it's going to be Zip or Sommer. I don't think I need the killing power of Wong in this one, even though he's good at a lot of these, because he can drop markers, from above. I think Zip. I think it'll be dependent on how I'm feeling that day and who I'm against, whether I think Zip or Sommer is the better crew for this. Because Sommer could definitely do it. He has tons of AP, and he has a lot of cheap AP that can run towards the outside ones and at least make the enemy do something about it, right? Because if I have 2 bodies, just run towards the outside, the 2 in the corners. And then if they live, right, if he doesn't contest either one, I get automatic claim jump every turn, and I get the squat every turn. He's basically fighting me in the middle to hope he gets points. If he contests them, I don't know what he's going to contest with, but there's a good chance that it's more points than a 3-point Bayou Gremlin, which means I'm not like winning, but then I have more to like fight the middle. And with somebody like Fingers, the middle becomes like an issue because one Fingers is a lot faster because of Reckless and 6 Soul Stones. I'm 6 move. And so what that means for everyone else is if I get there first and start flipping things, and he's standing there with his Don't Mind Me aura and Chatty, how do you start getting points in that sense? If he stays alive, you almost are guaranteed to lose Search the Runes because I will just either deny them with Chatty, or I will flip yours into mine. It just becomes really annoying to deal with, and I have a lot of other models to do stuff with. That's where even a Trixie becomes pretty good. It's hard to fit her in that list because she's so many stones, along with Fingers. But she picks up one of your markers, drops it next to one of your other markers. All of a sudden, you can't use either marker for Search the Runes, and you lose like that. He makes Claim Jump hard. He makes all this stuff hard. I even think you can send Bert to one of the side markers to protect it. So maybe that's an option as well. If you go the Zip's route, another nice thing is Zip is very fast. He can get to the middle extremely quickly. If you do take an Iron Skeeter, you can also get to the middle quickly and start flipping the markers early. A part of me is like, could you take Fingers and Zip? Part of me says yes, because then you wouldn't take the first mate. I think you got to debate whether you think the first mate or Fingers would be better in this case. The first mate can actually like defend himself a little better because he can fight, and when he eats markers, he creates he gets armor. Yeah, I guess he has some of the staying power of killing stuff and moving it around, and moving things around is always good. Just to make it harder for them to get their points. What I would go for myself, if I took Fingers, I feel like Search the Runes would be natural. Like I feel like you can do Claim Jump, Search the Runes run for the middle and try to win the game like that. And if they do go to the flanks, you yeah. See, last time I did this, I took Wong and I took like Franks. I took all the good shit, right? I took let me think of my list. It was like Bert, Frank, 2 Swine Curse. Did I not take stuff? How did I get all those points? Oh, I didn't take Trixie in that list, did I? Did I? Yeah, I did. Hold on, I'm trying to think, guys. Sorry. How did I fit that list? I know I took Bert. I don't know. Oh, I didn't have a taxidermist in that list. That's right. I had Trixie instead of a taxidermist. Yeah, I had that list where I take like Wong, 2 Swine Curse, Bert, Frank, Trixie, like 4 stuffed piglets, right? And what it does is you're playing a different kind of game. You're saying, I'm not going to have a million activations. I'm going to have 10, which is a lot different than Sommer's 13. And Sommer's also has less insignificant things because 4 of my activations are insignificant. But what you do have is a group of models, a Swine Curse running towards the flank, like the flank markers. Most models can't beat a Swine Curse on the flank, right? You're probably going to be more than 7 Soul Stones, the Swine Curse is. And it's also reckless. So if I send like a Frank to one corner and a Swine Curse to the other corner, you're at a risk of losing one of the 2 edges if you commit to it. Now, if you don't commit to them, you flip the marker and then you just do other schemes. And then you have Wong doing other things as well. So, that could be an option. It depends on what I'm against. I mean, there's a point if I'm losing, if I'm like in it to win it, I'll have to do a lot more thinking in the moment, like who I'm against, because I'll have a good idea about who I'm going to play. I think everyone can do it though. I think a lot of it will come down to what my opponent, what I think they're going to do, and how I think I can counter. Because I think the Wong list is very fun and can do it pretty well. Trixie's good for pushing people off the markers. She can fuck with. See, the reason Wong is good at it, right? So if we just go to that Wong list, why is Wong so good? One, recover evidence isn't going to be great because I have enough stuffed piglets that I'll probably throw some in the back and to the side. So you're probably not going to get that great of models to do it on. Search the runes can be extremely difficult because Wong can blow up markers within like 3 inches. So he can like go into the middle and like contest them and like blow yours up last turn on a 0. So it's very like, it's so risky to do it versus him because if he is alive, he just runs in there, blows him up. Accusation is just I mean, you can probably score a couple points off me, but if you're standing next to like Swine Curse and Frank and not killing them, good luck. I mean, they're gonna just rip your face off. Dig Their Graves is no. I have all my models are like beaters. If anything, I can do Dig Their Graves because I can reckless drop a scheme marker and then charge you, and then possibly score it that way. Though, and then I'm obviously good at Claim Jump because I have not only Wong, but I have a bunch of reckless models. That's the thing that I think gets a little bit overlooked even by myself is when I only have 6 significant models in that crew, right? That's probably 1 or 2 less than most people take. But they all have 3 AP, like easily, right? So I'm taking how many significant AP? 2. No, I have 6 significant models with 3 AP. I have 18 significant AP, as I like to put it, right? That's a lot. I mean, that's like having 9 minions. But being reckless is almost better in most cases because like one model can do Claim Jump on its own. So if one Swine Curse or Frank makes it to the corner, he can do it on his own and he's scoring me a bunch of points. Contesting the middle, you got Trixie to push him off. Then you got like Glowy, Bert, Swine Curse, and Wong just to try to fight it out in the middle. Now, I don't think you have to send to both corners. I mean, you got to judge it. The thing is, the crew's fast enough that you walk kind of towards the middle, and then they can like branch out and go to the edge ones if you think the enemy's going for it. If not, you don't have to. Just fight him in the middle and say, I am Wong, 2 Swine Curse, Bert, and all this shit. I'm just going to blow you up in the middle and push through and search the runes in the end. That's also an option. Yeah, it's going to come down to what I think I'm going to play against. But yeah, that's all 5 rounds. A lot of them, as you can see, I had a lot of options. I mean, it's not easy to pick a crew for some of these, and terrain and opponent are always going to be a factor. But as you can see, talking through what your options are and what you think is going to happen. For I guess going back to round 4 real quick, a perfect example of that was, I'm going to take frame on Frank, throw him into the enemy crew, and then try to assassinate their leader or something, get points, and be like, oh, you have to kill him. And then you're like, maybe they don't have to kill him. Maybe they frame a target that Frank is going after, and I give up 3 points and then don't give up a lot because he is a henchman. So, thinking of things like that is where you almost, if you don't think of it now, you might do it, and they counter you because they thought of it first, the counter to it, and now you're screwed and it's too late. So we'll see how this tournament goes. I still got a couple weeks. I believe it's 2 weeks? No. What is today? It's only the 3rd, 4th. So I got 3 weeks to the event. Okay, 3 weeks. Yeah, I'll probably get some practice games in. I really want to try out the Reconnoiter round. Actually, they're all worth trying, I think, except the Reckoning round. I'm not really a fan of the Reckoning round. I probably might get a test game, but I really want to try like the Squatters round and stuff like that. Reconnoiter, since the Sega Claim one, because it is like a pretty somber favorite one, I don't really want to play it because I've been doing it so much. And I'm trying to play. I really want to play Wong. I mean, I could probably solo Wong this tournament, but I want to win, so I'm gonna do what's best for me when it comes to that. But anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll let you guys know how the tournament goes when I'm all done. Thanks.